Holy hell, you guys, we're back. Oh my God. I can't believe it. So it's currently October 2024. I am sitting in my yard with my puppy, Pearl, in a different house that I live in with Ben in Seattle. And the last time I uploaded a podcast episode for Pillow Talk Radio was February 2021. So much has happened since then for all of us, I'm sure. So many wonderful things, challenging things, transformative things. So, where do we begin? When you're sitting down to dinner with a friend you haven't seen in years, and it's like, where the hell do we start? But once you get going, like there's so much to catch up on, and it's ultimately always about the chemistry and the compatibility in your dispositions, your humor, and it just starts flowing again. That's how we're going to approach this conversation today. And I'll be honest with you guys, I have been having extreme resistance to recording this episode. I have nearly instigated this podcast so many times, and I'm finally doing it now. And I'm just reflecting as I'm saying that on the first episode I ever recorded for this, wherein I said something extremely similar about how I had been wanting to do a podcast for a really long time, but kept kicking the can down the street, dancing with the resistance. And then I was like, fuck it. All right, let's do it. We're circling back on that theme right now. And we're doing it anyway. And it is not going to be perfect. And that's okay. My sister and I, when we were little, we had all sorts of elaborate stories and worlds that we would create together, not least among them Baba World. If you're a friend of mine, you know that I exclusively call dogs Babuses. And we had an entire world called Baba World where you guys, it was an absolutely elaborate, intricate premise. And the Babuses would have Baba Day every single Tuesday, and they would all take gliders. And in the lore, our dog at the time, our Babus at the time, Maisie, worked at the popcorn stand at Baba Day. It was like a big festival for Babuses. There was like similar to the Defense Against the Dark Arts position at Hogwarts, there was a haunted tea stand at Baba Day. Anyway, I'm actually not here to talk about Baba Day or Babuses, although I now have a Babus of my own, and that is a big life update. Pearl, oh my God, Pearl, out. She bit my finger. No, little Babus. Okay. Anyway, now you know what I'm going to be talking about whenever I talk about Babuses. And also, I guess I'm just getting loose here. What I was getting at there is that my sister and I had many elaborate worlds, intricate stories, pages and pages and pages of illustrations for the different worlds that we would create. And there was this one story we would tell each other about this guy, a painter of indeterminate nationality, but who had some sort of accent that we would do. And then this tale goes, here's how we would say it would be like, he wasn't very good. He didn't do it very well. But the point is, he did it. And there was one point where he had this woman he was trying to woo, the painter did. And he painted a portrait of her as a token of his affection. And it was so bad. It made her look so bad that she was extremely insulted. And his plan to sweep her off her feet with this portrait backfired. And then the refrain would always come back to, at the end of the tale, he didn't do it very well, but the point is, he did it. So that has really instilled in my psyche as a philosophy in terms of just fucking doing the thing. And even if you don't do it very well, the point is you did it. This is the philosophy I instill in clients for taking action socially. This is a philosophy I bring to my creative projects. I have a also tattoo that is connected to a story about the vulnerability of creativity and how important it is just to make your shit, show up, do the thing. And as Julia Cameron says in The Artist's Way, I forget exactly the syntax, but it's like basically universe, I'll take care of the quantity, you take care of the quality. So here's what I want to tell you guys about the last few years in this space in our cosmic conversation here. I'm currently back in Seattle full-time, living in a new house with Ben. Ben and I are engaged. We're getting married, which is really exciting. My dad passed away suddenly and unexpectedly a year ago. And on the tail end of my Saturn return, I went through one of the most existentially confronting and transformative experiences of my life. Call it a major depressive episode, call it a spiritual emergency. My God, you guys, a hummingbird just flew up to me as I was sharing that with you. So cute. God, it's so cute. Hi, baby. So, as I was saying before, Pearl, don't drink my coffee. Hey, I love you, but don't drink it. Okay. As I was saying, call it a major depressive episode, call it a spiritual emergency, call it a complete dissolving of my ego structure. Call it all the above. I went through an extremely intense psychological experience brought on by the wickedly hilarious perfect storm of cumulative factors, external variables, internal variables, things totally out of my control, habits and lifestyle choices I was not fully conscious of the impact of. Seriously, there were like 10 different things that converged at the same time and went through a massive breakdown. My brain chemistry got extremely fucked up and I became extremely clinically depressed. Oh my God, honestly, this is feeling really good to tell you guys about. Not least among the variables in this perfect shitstorm was the cumulative impact of not having enough in-person social connection during lockdown, which perhaps all of you or many of you can relate to. Not least among the variables in this perfect shitstorm was smoking way too much pot as a coping mechanism to the deficit of in-person social connection without being fully aware or educated on the impact that was having on my brain chemistry. And oh boy, I have lots of opinions on that. On the other side, I feel like not enough people are aware of the impacts, the long-term impacts on brain chemistry. Not least among these variables was living next to not one, but two active construction sites, which now know noise pollution is terrible for your mental health. Two active construction sites because I was, not least among the variables, living a very long-term destabilized lifestyle commuting between Seattle and Bellingham, where Ben was living at the time, which is about an hour and a half north of Seattle. Really special, magical place. There were about 6 other huge variables I can really put my finger on, but I'm not going to get into them today. Suffice it to say, my brain chemistry got really fucked up and my mental health rapidly declined. And all of a sudden, I found myself in the absolute bowels of the human experience, the caverns of Hades, if you will. I lost a ton of weight. I could barely sleep. I could not even sit still to watch TV. I was a 5 out of 5 on every single inventory data point on the mental health measurement, whatever, when I went to the psychiatrist, and I very nearly died. But the point is, I didn't. As someone who, in my ego structure, in my sense of self, knows myself to be to feel most myself when I am feeling the joy and seeing the endless possibility and uplifting other people and embodying and executing on my creative visions and taking pride in being a self-starter, a proactive, self-motivated person who has actually never worked a traditional job and has been motivating myself on my own projects and endeavors for years. To not be able to access any of the sensations and the character qualities and the experiences that make me love being myself and love being alive, it was horrific. Felt like my spirit had abandoned my physical body and I was shell of myself. Obviously, as you can hear, as you can feel in my energy now, I am no longer in that place. Holy hell, did I go there. And it was one of the most wild adventures I have ever gone on. And while this experience was something that I absolutely would never have chosen for myself, I have zero desire to go on that roller coaster again. Do not wish that level of psychological torment on anyone. I appreciate having gone through this, and that this was one of the bigger growth experiences of my life, and questioning existence from such a starkly different angle and perspective than the space that I was previously accustomed to inhabiting invited me to reevaluate everything, to reevaluate meaning, to reevaluate my life and what I want to do here on the most profound of levels. 16:16 on the timer and 2:16 on the clock. Just FYI. The most horrifying part of the experience for me was not feeling able to feel my spirit. I kept saying, I can't feel myself. People would be like, it's okay. It's actually fine. It's okay. Like, you're okay. And I'm like, no, you don't get it. I can't feel myself. I choose to believe that this happened for a reason, and that when the universe takes me through experiences, it's because I am supposed to learn from them and share what I learn in ways that are ideally helpful for others. Which brings me back to you and us and why I'm sharing this with you. I'm sharing this with you for a handful of reasons. I know that when I was in the bowels of Hades dancing with the Dark Lord, that it was the most helpful and affirming thing to hear about other people's experiences going through similar things and coming out the other side of it. Through many conversations I had with different people in my life around this, people who were supporting me, my therapist / fairy godmother, Diana, shout out to Diana. This shit happens all the time. It just usually happens behind closed doors and people don't usually talk about it. So I really hope that in me sharing this, this can be a touchstone of hope for someone's. This can help to destigmatize this if you have gone through a very intense psychological breakdown, depressive episode. And now, having shared this, and I imagine this will come up in future conversations that we have together on this podcast, I want you to know that I fucking get it. These invisible internal experiences that we go through on all points of the spectrum of preferred and less preferred, it often feels that words do not do them justice, or that it's challenging to fully articulate what it is to be in it. Be deeply in love or transcendently inspired or profoundly hopeless. And that's what we're doing with art. That's what we're doing with sharing our voice and connecting with each other. It's like it's reaching for that shared experience and that companionship with each other and that connection. And I know that although it's not like I had never had a little trot with the Dark Lord in any capacity before this mesmerizing tango, I actually did not fully comprehend certain things, a multitude of certain things before that I now completely comprehend. If this is something you haven't experienced, it can be difficult to understand. What do you mean you can't access your motivation or your creativity? Like, why don't you just get up and take a shower and go for a walk or whatever? So I want you guys to know that I fucking get it. And I want you to feel that as a piece of the context in our conversations. I'm sharing this because I want to be honest with you, and I want to feel and be expressed with you and in the world. You know, those internet quotes that, they say one thing, it's attributed to who knows who, and then like the same quote slithers out attributed to who knows who that's like a slight variation on that. Well, there's a couple things that I really believe. Expression is the opposite of depression. That's one. Another variation is that play is the opposite of depression. And so I'm sharing this with you to express myself. And I can feel I feel this sensation of release and levity in my body as I'm speaking to you right now. I feel this freedom and it feels fucking good. I'm sharing this with you to set the tone and the intentions for our forthcoming conversations as I am podcasting, as we are connecting in this way again. My work and my personal inclination has always been about exploring how we can make the most of our time here and how we can tap into and amplify everything that is life-giving, life-affirming in this experience. Connection, love, friendship, romance, sexuality, what it is to be expressed in yourself within relationships, to be expressed truthfully, creatively in the world, in how you dress, in the art that you make, in the lifestyle you lead, in the conversations that you have, what it is to feel happy and purposeful and vital and turned the fuck on. What it is to feel and to actualize our capacity and our creative potential and to maximize the level to which and the amount of time in which we absolutely love being ourselves, and how ultimately all of those things, that's what makes you magnetic. We are magnetic as hell when we are living in integrity with what truly lights our spirits up. And so I am sharing this with you because having ventured all the way to the complete polar opposite of the spectrum and having rebuilt my self-esteem from the fucking floor, having reevaluated, reassessed, and reconstructed everything in my life and in my internal world, I now feel more qualified than ever to have this conversation with you. And I hope that this context provides some insight on the scope and the depth of my work and what I want to share with you and the world. Scope of my interests, why I'm interested in them, and why they matter, and how they're all connected. So, as we begin to close out our episode for today, I want to name a couple things directly. I am officially expanding the scope of my work, and I am officially expanding the scope of our conversations together and the topics that we cover. For the previous handful of years, I have been primarily focused and known for love life, dating and relationships. And you've heard me say it before. You will hear me say it many times again. The quality of our relationships is the number one predictor of happiness. If you did not know, I am certified in the psychology of happiness. Intimate relationships are hugely, hugely important for our well-being, hugely significant for meaning in our lives. And romance and dating, sexuality, it's so fun and deep and sparkly and magical. And it has and will continue to be a great honor for me to support people as they build and articulate their romantic confidence, competence, fall in love, attract partners, and build quality, truthful, beautiful relationships in which they feel truly valued and expressed. And dating and relationships, this is just one facet of the greater conversation I am compelled to have. I'm kind of lolling because I'm like, yes, it's our conversation, our conversation. It is a conversation, despite the fact that currently I'm speaking to myself. But I'm also speaking to you. On that note, please give me feedback. Please send me a DM with any takeaways, anything that resonated with you. And please, I would greatly appreciate it if you would leave a review. Ideally, a 5-star one. That would be very helpful for me. Anyway, dating and relationships, that's going to continue to be part of the conversation, but it's just one facet. The greater umbrella here is personal magnetism, which, as I said, is really about living turned on by life and in integrity with yourself, enjoying being yourself and allowing that to radiate out into your relationships, into your creative expression, your creative endeavors, into your entrepreneurial ventures, and as a result of your high level of self-care and confident, sensual embodiment. Are we getting how this is all one big feedback loop? So that's what you can expect. It's pillow talk, baby. We're going to get real. We're going to get mushy. We're going to get intimate. We are going to explore a full range of topics and perspectives under the umbrella of personal magnetism and living expressed, turned on, and fulfilled. And it's going to be awesome. I'm so happy you are here. I am so honored that you're here. Thank you for listening. In the next episode, I will be sharing more about the different choose your own adventure ways that we can work together and go deeper together. And I will be interviewing the man, the myth, the legend, Benjamin. My fiance, Benjamin, will be coming on the pod. And thus concludes this returning episode of Pillow Talk Radio. I'm Cora Boyd, and the point is, she did it.